A warm welcome to our webcast, Introduction to Measurements Tools. Our speaker is Ulrich Lang, product expert for system measurement tools at SAP. He will provide basic knowledge for SAP system measurement, introduce different measurement tools, and most importantly, share do's and don'ts. We will have time for questions after his presentation is over, so you can also just write them in the chat and I will read them out loud to our expert after his presentation. And with this, I would like to hand over to my colleague Ulrich.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I also would like to welcome you into our training Introduction to Measurement Tools and LAW. I'm Ulrich Lang. I'm the product owner of those measurement tools for classic SAP measurements for more than 12 years now. And if you don't know me yet, that's good, because it shows me that the right people are in the webinar. Because I will not present any innovations or special features today, but I will give you an overview over the measurement tools for beginners. So if you're a system administrator who's been doing the system measurements for 10 years now, this presentation will not show anything new for you. So these measurement tools for NetWeaver ABAP-based products run on your customer systems and are part of the software component SAP Basis. These are the USMM, the transaction for the system measurement, and the LAW, the license administration workbench, which is the consolidation tool for the measurement results. So since we do not have that much time, I will go quickly through the agenda. First, I want to tell you some general information. Then the biggest part will be the USMM, the actual measurement transaction, and then a short explanation of the consolidation. And then we will have time for questions. So first, I will explain you the general process of the measurement itself. So why do we do this? Of course, the aim is to check whether the customer is compliant, meaning whether the used licenses are matching the purchase licenses. So therefore, you sign a contract, and we want to do with this system measurement, we want to check the compliance of the contract. But first of all, I want to show you here some general information about the system measurement. We have a support portal site here. If you click on this link, you will get into our support portal site, and then you can see the process. Just a moment, it opens. Here. This is our site about the system measurement. Here you have some information about license or measurement services, about the process, which I will go quickly through. So first of all, the audit start means that you or your administrator receives a measurement request. Then maybe you should prepare the system measurements in a way that you can look here. But now the thing is, the interesting thing for this webinar is conduct the system measurement, perform system measurement in USMM, and maybe the self-declaration form. I will not touch this. And also I will not touch non-NetWeaver-based things. And then the next step is the consolidation results in LAW, which is relevant if you have more than 2 systems. And then you transfer the results to SAP, where they are checked and evaluated and so on. And then you will receive audit closure notice, either by the sales, if there was an overusage, for example, the sales will come up to you with say, okay, you have to buy additional licenses or so, or the notice that everything's okay so far and the audit is closed. So this is the process roughly. Here you can get also more information if you scroll down in our content finder. Here you see measurement program USMM. Here are useful. Here is useful information if you go if you click here, or later on the license administration workbench, which is also covered here. So in general, this is a really good site. And you should just check this out before you start a new measurement, especially if you're a beginner. Okay, the general purpose of the measurement we had, but we have some technical constraints for that, of course, because in the contract it says that the customer buys licenses. Usually, well, in general there are additional products, but normally the SAP license principle is that you have named user licenses. Named user licenses mean one person needs to have a license according to his or her job in the company. There are different licenses with different prices, of course. A developer is more expensive, for example, than a self-service user. This is because of the value this license has for the customer, for the company. On the other side, we have systems, technical systems. And well, the best thing we have, as we cannot look through the keyboard, the best thing we have is to count user master records, because every person needs a user master record to log on to the system. And what we do with our measurement is we count the user master records, and additionally, and that's the whole thing about the licensing, about the measurement, we count them according to their classifications. What is a classification? Well, basically it's you have to assign a license type to a user master record to make sure that it's counted correctly. And this is also the biggest part of the work you have to do when you receive a measurement request, because the measurement itself is nearly fully automated. So the big effort is to determine the correct license for the particular user master records. So why do we have this? Of course, first, we sell different licenses. So you have to have the possibility to assign different license types to the master record. And also, of course, user master records are in the system, and but not all user master records that are in the system represent a person that needs a license. For example, if you have an RFC user, this is a user master record, even though it's only another system that accesses this particular backend system. Therefore, you also have to have the ability to assign well, free of charge user type to the master record, or to exclude it from measurement. So basically, the standard users that are available once you set up a system are excluded by default, like the SAP star user, the DDIC user, and some J2EE things and so on. But of course, when you create master records for RFC users, those users are additionally and created by your own. So you have to have this possibility to exclude them from the measurement, either if you do it with a technical type or with another contractual type. I explain you what I mean. We have, this is difficult from the naming, we have technical user types. This is really a technical thing, like we have dialog users, we have system users, we have communication users and service users. And okay, we have reference users which are not, which cannot log on to the system, so they will not be counted anyway. But these technical user types differ from the contractual. Usually, a person should have a dialog user, but sometimes even SAP recommends that you use communication users, the technical type of a communication user for persons. For example, if you have an HR self-service or so, due to security reasons. And the other way around, sometimes you have users where are no persons behind that have that are from the technical type dialog. And especially those users you can classify either, for example, as test users, which you should do in a test system, used for test systems, or some other user types that are free of charge. I'll tell you later on about that. So in total, we count the number of user master records by their classification. So how can you do this classification? You can do it technically the assignment of a license type to a user master record. You can do it in transactions SU10, SU01, meaning in the user administration, or you can do it also in the USMM. I'll show you later on this. First, something about the USMM. So the USMM, we have a new USMM since about 2018. So before, the USMM has remained nearly unchanged since 2008. And in 2016 or so, we decided to put this in a new frame. And so we delivered this with support packages in 2018. So you might still have older releases or older support package in your landscape where the USMM is not on the new level. So you will see just the old one, and it differs quite completely from the new one. So, however, the actual steps that you have to perform as a part of an audit, those steps are identical. You have to classify the users and you have to execute the measurement. In the new USMM, there are additional functions that are not 100% necessary for the measurement. So you can do also measurement with the old USMM, but of course you have new features which might help you in doing the complete measurement. The old, if your system is already on the new version, the old user interface is still available via transaction USMM_old. And it runs with the new backend routines. So of course, in the backend, we changed also some things to make this more maintainable and so on. But the old and the new interface differ only in the way that in the old interface, the new functions are not available. So this settings, if you type in the transaction USMM, I can show you here. Oops, here you will get this screen, system measurement settings. Here, you do the basic settings. Usually you only have to do this if you have set up a system completely new, or if you have fundamental changes in your contract. So it is still running in the SAP GUI. And then if you click here, the system measurement, you will get into the process view, which is running in the browser. So what do we have here? We have some things to maintain here. You can find a documentation for everything, but if you click here, you get here the list of the clients, and you can specify them as included or not included. Usually in the productive systems, you should include all the productive clients. You cannot, by the way, you cannot exclude productive clients from measurement. And in development systems, you should only include the main development clients, because here, for example, we have lots of clients which are most of them are not relevant. Usually a customer system has not so many clients. If so, you have divided them into different parts, and maybe you have to include lots of clients, because each represents a company part, but well, usually the productive should be included, the non-productive excluded. You have different price lists here. You can choose the price list settings. Why do we have this price list settings? It's only something to divide the different user types. In the beginning, we had one price list, the software component price list, and then a new price list, the business suite, or at that time, mysap.com price list. And now for the different contractual situations, you have different prices, but in your request, measurement request that you get from SAP, usually it is shown which price list you should choose for your system. Here you get a list of the user types, and this is just to make it more overviewable, because as you can see here, it's 76 user types, and you will get all user types offered if you activate them all, which is not a good idea. So better is to deactivate all of the user types and say, okay, I have licensed an application developer, an application professional, a limited professional, and an employee, for example. And now you only get these 4 user types offered when you try to classify a user type, a user, which I'll show you later. If you use an RFC network to contact your system with an LAW for the consolidation, you can specify here. Oh, sorry, no, sorry, here's the email address. If you want to have a notification, if you send the measurement directly to SAP from this system, you can specify here an email address, and you will get a confirmation email once the results have arrived at SAP and are taken over into our evaluation program. If you have an LAW system, you can specify here a central system, and here something new, define parameters for history administration. In the old LAW, we did not have a history. Here, you can check all the old measurements you have done in this particular system, as long as you do not have to deleted them. But you can specify here a residence time, meaning if you, for example, type in here 300 days, it means that after 300 days, this will be this measurement, or all the measurements that are older than 300 days will be deleted automatically. And here you have the button save user, or the checkbox save user data. You get only, if you do not activate this, you get only the results of this particular measurement, meaning the number of users and the number of the engines and so on. But not, you cannot create an LAW file with user-related data out of it. Why did we do this here as a checkbox? Because this might produce lots of data. If you have 100,000 users, you will have the username, the email address, and so on for 100,000 users. And some customers really do measurements weekly even. And so you will get lots of data, unnecessary data maybe. So, but I'll show you later what it has to do with that. And here you have a link to the role-based classification. The role-based classification was something that is that was available the whole time since since 2005 or so. But you had to access it by typing the transaction license attributes. What is the role-based classification? Well, the idea is not to assign a license type to a particular user record, but to assign a license type to a role. And once a user record has this particular role assigned, it can inherit the license type from this role. Sounds good, but it's really only practical if you have really a well-maintained role landscape. It makes no sense if you have 100 users and 1,000 roles. And also additionally, only if you have standard user types. Because if a master record has more than one role, it could be more than one role with a license type. It can be that the license types differ. And then a resulting license type has to be found. And if those two license types are not contained in each other, it's not possible to do the role-based classification here. So therefore, it is not possible to use these role-based classification. Sorry, the role-based classification once you have special module types users which are negotiated in your contract. Because here the standard table cannot say whether one user type is contained in each other. And now additional something new, the rule-based consolidation classification, sorry. Here we have a part where you can create yourself a rule set that can help you in classifying the users. Because as I told you, the classification of the users is a big effort. And to my shame, I must admit that SAP delivers only the definitions of the users, but this definition is a contractual one and not a technical one. And therefore, in the contract, it says you have to classify the users according to this definition, but you cannot do this automatically, or yeah, we don't give you so much support with that. Okay, but nevertheless, here you have the possibility to define rules. And this can be more. So you can define rules by authorizations, which is the only thing that is relevant for the new S/4HANA contract. You can do it by roles as well. It is similar to the role-based classification, but here you have additional possibilities to put the roles in different orders, and according to special module user types, maybe you can also do this here, meaning you can create a rule set by roles, even if you have those special module type users negotiated, by user attributes, and even by the usage of applications. Can show it here, the rule-based classification, here, authorizations, roles, user attributes, applications. For the rule-based classification, we do not have the time that I explain it how to create those rules. But here we have a link, and here you get a detailed description about the rule-based classification, how you can set rule sets, and how you can transport them. You can upload and download them here, as you can see. Transport in the transport section and the define section. Later on in the process, I will show you what this rule set then does. So if we go into the USMM, back into the overview, and we press the button System Measurement, the WebDyn Pro will start. Okay. System is a little bit so once you have finished all the setting work, you can go into this. If you just click this button or you use the transaction USMM2, this WebDyn Pro opens and it will be here on step 3. This is executed in a browser. Sorry. Sorry. Sometimes this doesn't work. And the reason in 95% of the cases is that your WebDyn Pro settings in the systems are not set up correctly. So it's an easy thing. Just try to use the transaction SOA manager. If you encounter the same error, like normally it's an error 500 in the browser, then it's about your system settings, for the WebDyn Pro. This is basics administrator work. I cannot help you here further, but once the WebDyn Pro settings are done correctly, it should open here. And first of all, here is the you get here in step 3 to perform the measurement, which is good, but we'll go further on to step 1 for the check nodes. And here you can do a check whether your system is from the measurement program side on the best level you can have. So with together with the measurement request, you get a nodes file, which you can apply here. It's an XML file, which you can upload here to import nodes file. And then it is checked whether your system has applied the relevant nodes or not for the measurement. Why? Well, we have some, yeah, it's possible that the measurement took place. You did the consolidation, send the results to SAP, and then you get in the evaluation, you get an overusage of so and so many thousands master records or whatsoever. And then the account executive comes and wants money from you, and then say, okay, but we have a bug in this particular engine functionality. And we have a node for this. So what you had to do then in such a case is to go to the system, apply this node, do the measurement again, do the consolidation again, and send the results back to SAP. This, of course, is annoying. So what we want to aim is that before you do the measurement, you can check whether there are applicable nodes for your system. So here I'll change to the presentation because I cannot do this in our normal system. So once you press the button import notes file, you get a pop-up, and then you can browse and look, and you get a file selector here, and then you check, well, you select this notes file that has been provided to you by SAP and click open. And then after importing this node, a check will be performed directly, immediately. So you have to not to press another button or anything else. And there are two things checked. First, does the validity of the nodes match with the release and support package of the system? Of course, this nodes file is a generic one. We can only know what the customer has licensed, and the nodes for the different parts of the licensing things at the customers are content of this node file. So if you do not have purchased, for example, IS insurance, something from the insurance part, you will not get any insurance nodes, of course. And if you have not purchased HR, you will not get any HR nodes. Nodes regarding the measurement, not the functionality. The measurement functionally of this particular solution. Okay, and then additionally is checked, is the node already applied to this system? And if not, the result list will contain all the nodes that can be imported to this particular system. Okay, but as I told you, it's a generic file. So what can be, you have licensed HR and you get HR nodes, but in this particular system, you do not use HR. So here you can exclude complete engines. So none of the engines regarding to a certain solution will be checked again or will be disregarded in the check. Or you can exclude directly specific nodes. This is stored in the system, and then the next time in your next measurement, you will not get nodes regarding HR or whatsoever, what you have excluded anymore. So the next step would be the user classification. So similar to the user classification in old USMM, this can also be performed in a list. You have here some selection option that you do not have all the users available at once, but you can choose some selection criteria. Here I can change into the system measurement again. You see, it doesn't the view doesn't match with the slides. It depends on the style guide of your system, whether you have here some squares or whether you have some balls or whatsoever. So this is really depending on the settings in your system, but the functionality is always the same. Okay, if we go to the user classification list or the classification option, here maybe you can check your client's contractual user type, technical user type ID, dialog, and so on, and also the user group. If you have gathered your user records in some user groups, you can also check by this. Maybe here I just say a asterisk, and now if I press the find button, I will get all users starting, all user master records where the user name starts with an A, hopefully, after a while. Oh dear. Okay, I think I proceed with the PowerPoint. Okay. You have additional selection options, and then you get a list of the users, which is shown here. You get in this list, you get first name, last name, the username, of course, as key field, then the contractual user type or license type, the technical user type, whether it's a developer or not, because we have a special check here, the last logon date, classification type, user group, and so on. Those user master records can be selected for the classification. Here you have the checkbox, and you can select one or several and say classify selected records, and then you can choose from the user types. And here in this drop-down list, you get only the user types you have activated in the settings area in the at the sub GUI. Then if you say, okay, save, then this user classification is assigned to the master records. Here, in this case, the application professional. You can also classify them individually by clicking the drop-down here in the contractual user type field completely. And this is a specialty of the WebDyn Pro. You have to press the save button. Why? Because all you do here in the WebDyn Pro is not stored in, it's not persisted in the database unless you press a save button. So once you do some classifications and then you go to lunch, and when you come back, you will get a timeout here for your WebDyn Pro browser, and then all your work is lost. So this is not really good, but there is no other possibility. You have to save your classifications and then you can proceed further on. Of course, you get a warning if you try to get out without saving. So, and now something about the rule-based classification execution. So let's say you have defined a rule set for your particular system. Then you can check here in the rule-based classification how this rule set is. Here it's called demo, and if you click here, then you get additional buttons here, meaning rule-based classification and the normal classification. Maybe our system is ready now. Okay, you can see here, but I have no defined rule set yet. Okay, the system was resetted. So let's get back. Once you press here the classify users, a routine will be started and the proposal determination is started. In your rules, maybe your rules are demo 001 and 002 and 3 and so on. You get here in the list, you get an overview of your rules, and then you can see which rule was really responsible for the classification proposal. And here, I'm sorry for the German screenshot, a new contractual user type. So even though those users are classified as test users now, the routine proposes an application developer now because of their authorizations. Maybe they have the as developer. So if you once you press this button here, take over classification or apply classification, then if you have selected them, the classification will be taken over. Technically, this is a manual classification. It is the same if you have a user type proposal and you say, okay, you select it and say take over classification. It's the same as it was if you just put it here and the user type and say, okay, classify this user as developer. So that means this remains here in the, this classification remains in the database. Unlike, for example, the role-based classification, where you have, once you change a user type for a role, then automatically all the users inherit the new license type, all the users that have assigned this role. Here, you have to run again. If something changes, you have to run again the user, the classification proposal routine, and then do the classification, the apply classification again. Okay, next one. We're short of time to perform the measurement. In this step, the measurement just can be performed. So this is the easy thing. You just have to click the button, and I will try to do this here just to show you. Once everything is done, the classification is done, you say, okay, start system measurement. Yes. So what happens now? Now, several background jobs are started. The most important is the user measurement, because here you have done all the classification works and so on. So, and now we have here something, we have 107 jobs. That means 107 measurement functionalities for engines in other components are started in the background. So if I do the refresh, okay, you see it's only 81, and there are 4 active currently and 22 finished, and so on. So this is a big advantage to the old USMM, where you just had to wait, and if it was finished, you did not get any message or so. You just had to try whether it's finished or not. And here you just can do the refresh and can see, okay, we still have 50 or 70 and so on. Here, the background jobs are, the status of the background jobs is shown. It's scheduled here, and this is started and not yet finished, and so on. So now it's hanging. So sometimes it can, this system, as you could see, is very slow. So it can be that it takes a while. We'll go back to the presentation. So here you can start the system measurement, do the refresh. And here you see, for example, that some jobs are finished, some are started and not yet finished. And if you scroll down, there could be even some that are planned and not yet started. And of course, you cannot start a new system measurement while the old one is running. So now we have 59. And then the next one is the result transfer. Here, you have to be really, really careful, because this is maybe misleading. You have the functions send result to SAP. That means if you only have one system or two, development and a productive system, you can send these results directly to SAP, or you can save this result locally, but these results will not contain any user-related data. Therefore, they are only intended to be sent to SAP, but not to be processed with an LAW. If you want to use an LAW for the consolidation of more than one system, you have to take this one, save LAW file locally. Or if you have maintained an RFC destination in the settings section, then you can send it directly to the LAW central system. And of course, you have here the protocol. We have some difficulties. If in older LAW releases and older system releases, you can save these results, which are not, which do not contain user-related data, and you can process them with the LAW. You get a warning, but you will not get an error. In the newer LAW support packages, you will get an error saying, okay, you have used the wrong file. So here you have to be careful. Of course, if I change to the result transfer, you can also have here, you always have here the help buttons where you can find additional information about the push buttons. And if the SDCCN, the Service Data Control Center, is not capable to send the results to SAP, usually, not in all cases, but mostly this is inactive, this button, so that you just cannot see it. Good. The protocol is opening in a new browser window, and here you have, and here you can see all the system data and so on, and of course, which is the relevant thing, the number of the values of the measurement. So, additionally, step 5, we have the history. That's what I told you in the beginning of the settings. Here, what you can do is to select a historical measurement. They all have numbers and the measurement date and the executing user. And then you can display results. You can display historical values of additional checks like multiple logons and so on. Here on the very bottom, you get those users, you get those options. But here you see you have the options PDF download and save LAW file locally. The save LAW file locally is only active if at the time of the measurement, the save user data checkbox was ticked. Otherwise, an LAW file cannot be created because the data simply is not there anymore. Oh, sorry. And same is here on the very bottom here with user details on the left. So you can only show user details if the user details were stored. I can see, you can see it here. So in this 38 measurement, you find here under user details, you can have a look for the different users, but only if this user save user data button was ticked at the time when the measurement was done. Of course, if you tick it later on, the data is not there. And even if you untick them, it will be for the historical measurements still available, but not for the newer ones. So further information about the new USMN can be found, of course, in the program within the online documentation. Here, for example, you get help, save result locally, blah, blah, blah. And of course, in the subportal, also with this link, you get directly into into the documentation as a PDF. Like we have it here. Wow, it's quite slow today. So with screenshots and documentations, what you can do with it. Okay, this was it about the USMM in, well, brief. We're still We're already out of time. We're running out of time. So then only a few words to the LAW. The licensing situation is that you pay a license for one person. Technical situation, apart from the license types, is that you may have different technical systems, and in each system, your particular person may have a user master record. And therefore, we require a tool that makes it possible to prevent those users from being counted twice. So if we have here very old R3, Jones with a license type as a professional, and here as an employee, and here as a professional again, those 3 user master records of Mr. Jones will be get together in a group. Here, the main step, grouping. All user master records of one person are grouped together. And the second step is the consolidation. The routine tries to determine a resulting license type for each group. Meaning here, Mr. Jones has a professional license, an employee, which is included in the professional license, another professional, meaning the result of Mr. Jones is a professional. Then here we have a Mr. Taylor, also a professional. And here an employee is Baker because it's an HR self-service system, for example. So what would be the, if we just added up the things, it would be 2 professionals, 3 professionals, 1 limited professional, so in total 3 professionals, 1 limited professionals, and 2 employees. And after the consolidation, we only have 2 professionals because Jones is here counted twice, and only 1 employee because this employee of Mr. Jones is included in the professional, and the only remaining employee is Mr. Baker. This is the license administration workbench. I will not show you anything further. It's just the principle of this LAW. And then I think we can go over to the questions. By the way, in the first link I showed you in our measurement portal site, there is also documentation about the LAW, a more widespread documentation. So now, as we're over time, I think you have some questions, and I want to ask you, Tanya, to tell me if there are any questions in the chat that I can answer.
Oh, yes, we do. We have actually 2 questions in the chat. The first one is, in which phase, implementation, go live, support of a project, is it recommended to request for license audit process? Any frequency recommended to request audit, for example, yearly or other?
Yes, so it is not intended. Well, you can do the license measurement by yourself. You can do anytime. Usually it is recommended to do this after the big implementation is finished. But the usual frequency for on-prem systems, what we are talking about here, is a yearly license measurement, and the license or the audit request will be sent out from SAP to the customer. So then once you get the first, I think 1 year after contract, you will receive the first, after contract signing, you will receive the first audit request from SAP.
Okay, thank you. And the second question, apart from user licensing details, how to check licensing for business scenario like advanced variant configuration, advanced EWM, BRIM, etc.?
Well, that is the weak point we have indeed. So it is currently we have no real technical classification tool that the customer can apply automatically. unfortunately. So we have, especially for the S/4HANA contracts, where the user definition is done by their authorizations, we have a rule set which is currently in pilot phase. Well, we had a pilot phase long ago, and it turned out that it's not really that the results were not really good. But now we have a more sharpened rule set that is based on the authorizations a user master record has, and then delivers proposals for that particular user master record based on the authorizations. Apart from that, for the old ECC customer user types, we unfortunately do not have complete or widespread technical support. What we can do, there is one tool in the USMM where developers can be detected, but it's a classification help. That means you have to check it by yourself again, but at least this delivers you a proposal what user master records could be defined as developers. And additionally, we have a negative check for self-service users, for user master records that are assigned with the self-service users, because we check some of the most common tables and which are not related to self-services. And if a user master record has made entries in those kind of tables, we say, okay, this can't be a self-service user. There must be at least a professional or limited professional license for this particular user. But this is not comprehensive, meaning we check only about 40 tables. And if in the 50th table entries have been made, it still is not a self-service user, even though our tool cannot detect this. So here we have really the weak point in our measurement.
Thank you for your honesty. And we have another question. We use SLAW on our solution manager system for consolidation and sending the final results. Is this a best practice?
We always recommend to have the LAW is on every system, but you need only one LAW for your complete audit or for your complete measurement for the consolidation. And this we really recommend to do in the solution manager, because the solution manager usually has an RFC network already established, and the users from the solution manager that communicate with the solution manager in the component systems have the authorization that they can also be used by LAW. And additionally, the solution manager normally has a well-maintained connection to SAP. So here, when trying to transfer the consolidation data to SAP, normally this is okay and does not produce any issues. And also the solution manager normally is quite well patched. So the support packages are normally quite current because it's a smaller system, which is easier to patch. So perfectly best practice.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Currently, we do not have another question. We're actually only 1 minute till the top of the hour. If any other questions come up after this presentation, feel free to use the comment area underneath this video, and we will definitely come back to you.
Okay, then thanks for your interest. Here are my contact information. So if you have further questions, also you can also go directly and send me a mail, and I hope I can help you then.
Perfect. Thank you much for your offer. And then I would like to thank you, Ulrich, very much for your excellent presentation. And last but not least, of course, our attendees for joining. I hope this session was of value add for you. And I would like to wish you all a great day, a great evening, depending on where you are.
Also from my side. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.